For years, the tolerant and decent people across Britain have tried to engage with the police, local authorities, and government about their concerns over grooming gangs and asylum hotels, and they've been dismissed as racist, and the authorities continue to illegally import tens of thousands of young men. Then, a few weeks ago, in Ballymena, a town in Northern Ireland, locals took matters into their own hands. Following allegations of serious sexual assault by local Roma, locals took to the streets to protest against who they saw as problematic migrants who had caused problems for years but had been treated with kid gloves by the authorities. They set fire to the homes of some of the suspects. It was condemned as horrific and motivated by racism, but speaking to friends in Northern Ireland, these protests were actually supported by the Polish and Filipino migrants in those communities who had integrated and worked hard alongside Irish people and shared the concerns of the community. Obviously, it's a terrible thing to do, but if the authorities had listened to locals sooner, they wouldn't have been pushed to this point. And the dangerous thing is that it undeniably worked. At the time, I said this was dangerous because this direct action seems to have worked when engaging with the democratic process has failed. So it's sending a message to the rest of Britain that this is the only way that works. Yes, you might get arrested, you might get called a racist, but I think a lot of dads across Britain are happy to risk that to protect their kids. And public perception is changing too. People are openly sick of it all. Look at the effigies on the bonfires in Northern Ireland this weekend. They had an artfully crafted boat full of migrants with a pretty clear message to political leaders to stop the boats. This was in Moygashel, which isn't far from Ballymena. They also burnt effigies of Kneecap with an Irish language slogan urging people to kill your local kneecap, mocking the pop group's catchphrase, kill your local MP. And weirdly, politicians are less upset about Kneecap urging people to kill politicians than they are about people burning effigies of Kneecap for telling people to kill politicians. I'm not sure that politicians have picked the right side in this. Of course, the police announced an investigation into a hate crime over the burning of the effigies. Maybe they don't understand that putting effigies on bonfires is a proud British tradition. Where were the police when effigies of Donald Trump or Boris Johnson or Katie Hopkins were burned? It's only a hate crime when it's our aristocrat class of illegal migrants who must be deified and uplifted above everybody else and protected at all costs. But despite the typical wailing in the press about far-right bigots and the police announcing this hate crime investigation, these attempts to bully people into silence are failing. Everyone knows that things have changed and it's time to take real action.